Macrame. Hi, I'm Terry. Macrame is something that I learned on the internet. Oh, a few years back, I think 5 or 6 years. I don't know where I learned it, what videos I watched. I sometimes, I go on those crafty people's actual websites. I learned how to macrame. I learned how to quilt, among other things. I tried to do some of the making beads with clay. Some things I liked and some things I didn't. Now crocheting, I've been crocheting for many years. Um, I mean, once you learn how to crochet, you pretty much know crochet. All you have to do is buy a stitch book or pattern book and make what you want. But one thing that bugs me about the macrame is I follow the tutorials, and for me, I just cut 4 small strings here. But you take your body length, your arm's length here, and I think mostly they do that twice before they cut. So that makes it so if you do that once, it's about 5 foot for me. If you do that twice, obviously you have 10 foot, and if you do that 3 times, you have 15 feet. The reason I think that most, like the plant hangers, are always short. They're too short for me. I want the long ones. But every time I see them, they're like 3 foot long. And I would get through making something only to realize how small it actually was. So doing bigger ones, I did one, longer one. I realized that the problem being it tangles while you're trying to pull it through. So this is twine. Just plain jute twine from the Dollar Tree. So, um, more than likely from the Dollar Tree. I mean, I pick up twine. If I see it on sale, I pick it up. But anyway, I made this 3 arms lengths long. And basically wanted to see how bad it was going to tangle. I have some baker's twine upstairs that I had purchased off of Amazon, but I didn't realize that, or white twine, which is called baker's twine, I guess, it's not like this. It unravels at the ends. It's just threads put together. So it's a little more difficult to work with, and it tangles so easily. So once I started it, and it's upstairs, but once I started making that, I realized just how tangled it was, how hard it was going to be. So what I did was I ended up cutting a big length of it off, and I'm going to make a smaller, which I'm actually making a smaller one. So I come down here and I craft and I do this and I do that, and then when I go upstairs to watch TV when the husband's home, um, I sit down there. I have my computer desk, which is a craft station, and I make jewelry, and I macrame or whatever it is that I decide I'm going to do at the minute. That I can do right there. I just tape the ring to my table, just any kind of ring. I tape it there so that it hangs off of the edge, and I sit there and macrame. So I'm making a small one up there because of the twine, because of the baker's twine being so tangly, and it's also really hard to get a bead onto those. So I'm just gonna, I don't want to waste what I pulled out of the baker's twine, but I did learn that it's not, baker's twine is not good for macrame. Now I could do something like buy some macrame cord, or whatever you call it, but I like to use stuff that I have. I don't want to run to Amazon every other day ordering something new. So I tried the twine. This here, like I said, This was 15 foot, about 15 foot long. And of course, when you macrame, so I have these strands. Since I have 3, that means that I cut 6 at three arms lengths. I cut 6 pieces, because then when you put it to your hook here, when you put it on your hook, you're cutting it in half, not cutting it, you're bending it in half basically. So that gives me 12 strings to work with, which divided by 4 equals 3. Now you can do the macrame with 4. So you would obviously need, I would have needed to have 2 more strings, which would have been 8 at the 3 body lengths. So 8 strings at 15, about 15 feet. And then you would have 4 of these coming down. I decided on 3 because I didn't know if it was going to tangle or not. It doesn't. I had a little bit of trouble at first, but after that, I mean, I just whizzed right through it. And what I did here is just the, I don't know what you call it exactly. It's like a half double, a single, or a twist. If where you only go, you know, one way with this, and that's what you get. So this is going to be long, and I'm really happy about that. My ceilings upstairs are 8 foot. So if this is 5 feet, if I get this done and it's 5 foot, it's going to be close. It may be a little bit shorter, but that's going to mean that I can walk up to it while it's hanging there, my plant, and I can see the dirt. I can, you know, I can just see a beautiful plant, not just the bottom strings, or it's, you know, at this level, the bottom of the pot. So, but I think the reason why we get so many short ones out there is because they're hard to not tangle up. So the longer you cut this, the more tangles you're going to have. So what I did was I just cut one length, arm's length. I cut 4 of these, which doubled up. Well, that doesn't make sense. I need 2 more. So I need 2 more. I wasn't thinking there. Oops. And there goes my phone. I just don't have time to answer it right now. Video chat. I'm already on video. If I thought that it was an emergency, I would obviously answer it, but I don't think it is. Where did my scissors go? Okay, found my scissors. Anyway, yeah, so you remember you're doubling. So I'm doing 6 strings, which means that I will have 12 after I, you know, put it in half, attach it to a ring. So okay, so now I have my phone wants to blow up when I'm, you know, I can stand here for hours doing nothing, no videos, no anything, and my phone don't make a peep. But as soon as I start doing something, okay, so if you don't have this, I set this up here, my ceiling, so that I can macrame, or, you know, whatever else I may need. Now this is not, it's not going to hold a bunch of stuff. I used eyelet hooks, then S hooks to bring it down a little bit, and yeah, so I just got, and I wouldn't dare put very much weight on it, but I did this just for macrame. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to show you how I do it upstairs, where I don't have this set up. I'm going to take my ring and some Scotch tape. under here I have they're cutting boards. They're those clear cutting boards. So it's stuff trapped underneath them. It's not really as dirty as it may look. But I made a mistake when I did this, when I set up down here. So I just take the tape, put it in it. You might need to do more. So normally I would upstairs I would put it here so that my ring sits down here. But for the video purpose, I'm going to tape it here. This is exactly how I do it. Just Scotch tape. I'm going to tape this down too so it doesn't move. But anyways, when we made this table, I took Dollar Tree tablecloths and covered it up, thinking, oh, I'll keep my table, you know, nice and neat. Well, the problem is that the dirt on the tablecloth is just there, so now I'll have to clear everything off of my table just to take the tablecloth off or change out the tablecloth. I was not thinking outside of my little bubble there. So anyway, just so this is secured. Okay, so we have 6. This is, you know, this is super short. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just for video purpose. Take your ends together and find your center. So I got my ends together, and then I find my center. I got to remember how far down my camera's pointed. So you just want one part of that to bring it through. Now this is much harder when you have, I mean, here this is so, these strings are so small that you can recheck it. But when you have 15-foot strings, it's not easy. It is not easy at all. To check, you can check it, just try to get it right on the first try. Be as careful as you can, I guess, would be the big advice. Okay, so we're in that. And there are many video tutorials on how to macrame simple stitches and whatnot. But I want to, there's a couple of things that I noticed that maybe don't get said at the beginning. So since it's a practice for me, I mean, that's all it is for me, is just some practice. Even though I'm doing one, you see I got behind me here. I don't know, I know 3 different stitches, I know 2 different stitches, and I kind of know number 3, the traveling one. I'm not sure what you call that, a double hitch something or other. But anyways, okay, so I have this little piece of twine here. So I'm going to take these and make sure that they're not, you know, like all on top of each other and whatnot. So what you do is you have this like this. You make a loop up here, and then you start to neatly, let's see here, you start to neatly go around, not around your thumb, but it'll work out. Okay, so oops, darn it, didn't hold it. Anyway, you start to go around it. Maybe it's a little awkward setting up against the table like that. Okay, so you want it to go around, you want it to be neat. So don't put them on top of each other. Try to, 1, 2, 3 on up. The length that you decide you want to go. Once you get to know what you're doing, you'll know, do I want that to be big up there, the wrap around here, how big do you want it? And there's so many different things, so many different materials you can use. You can use yarn. I used, when I've practiced the hell out of this. I'll just say it. I practiced the hell right out of this. I used paracord, and the paracord worked out great, but it's not pretty, Hey, where did my, there it is. I got some kind of a loop here. It didn't, but it's just for practice. But I would go back and take this completely apart just to make sure that's not there. So don't leave, if you make something, you know, you make some kind of a faux pas, go back and fix it, because you don't want that there. But this is just for the video. So anyway, so now I take my rope and I feed it through my loop, right, like that. Then you get your other end of your loop, your twine, and you pull it, and that's going to pull that ending rope right into your design, whatever you call this thing. So there's that. So this you don't need anymore, and like I said, this isn't looking the way it's supposed to because of that whatever happened here, I think, where I got it stuck around my thumb. But I just didn't worry about that because, you know, I don't need it. Anyway, then, you know, just kind of fluff it around a little bit so you can't see your twine ends. So this you have 12 strings, is that right? Yes. So you want 4 in each. I try to keep them together as in how they, you know, how they are up there, not to, you know, take one that's clear over here and cross it over into this one. So you have 3 sets of 4. Now we'll just move these to a side, and to make a plant hanger you're probably only going to use 2 different moves. If you make a wall hanging, you would want to know the different types of knots that you would use. But okay, so one thing that I want to say right off the bat, when you start to macrame this, you're going to have 2 outsides, 1, 2, and then you have 2 in the middle. The 2 in the middle are going to stay the same length because you're not working with those. The 2 on the outside are going to get shorter as you go. So that's another reason why we always end up with short plant hangers, because these 2 strings on the outside are just going to come up and up. I mean, they're going to get shorter and shorter until you don't have anything left. So what's your solution? Well, before, I remember I would take tacky glue and glue more onto it. And in the end result, you can't see it because it's been twisted into a knot. But there is another way also. But I don't like the look when you switch. So let's say I go down through here and I get the twist down to here. So already my 2 outer strings are shorter now than the 2 middle ones. Then you can switch, right? So you take these 2 outer ones and you put them, you know, back behind or whatever, and then you make these the 2 outer ones. Now the problem with that, unless you're putting in a bead, it does not look good. You're just going to have a gap. So you'll have a spiral down to here, then you'll have a gap because you switched over. So that's not going to be pretty. But if you're using beads, you put the bead on, you get it down as far as you want to go, you'll slide the bead on, and the bead has to be big enough to, the hole has to be big enough to fit 2 of these, because it'll go right up into the middle. But after you put the bead on, which, I mean, I can probably show you here. Once you get your bead on, then you have your strings here. So I did it wrong right off the bat. Okay, so these are your 2 middle ones. These are the ones you've been working with. So you'll put your bead on, you'll put these back behind and put your bead on these 2. So that's going to make these the center of it. So I think the best way to go is just to go ahead and do it and show you what I mean. Okay, so here we go. So we have our 2 outer and our 2 inner. And what we do is, I've heard it called a sailboat, and I've heard it called a 4. But you're going to take this outside rope, whichever way you do, you can use this one, do it this way, or you can do it that way. It must be a right-handed thing because I always go this way. I always put my sailboat arm to point to the left. Now you're taking this outside rope and you're going to put it here in the crotch. It's what I call the crotch. I haven't heard anybody else call it the crotch, so it's probably just me being a weirdo. But anyways, you put it in the crotch, and then you're going to take it, you're going to bring it up and pull it out of your sailboat or your 4, so that you actually just have what looks like when you tie your shoes. But when you pull it, I grab a hold of these ropes and I use this finger while I'm holding it. I try to keep everything straight, and then you just pull it up tight. Okay, so now if you want to do a double, I believe it's called a double knot, then you're going to go to the opposite side. So I started off with my sailboat pointing to the left, but now I'm going to make a sailboat pointing to the right. Yeah, easy for me to say. And then you're going to do the same thing. This outer one is going to go in through the crotch. Do that again here. It's going to go in through the crotch, comes out and around and in through the crotch. And then what this does is I knew I did something wrong. How did I do something wrong already? Oh, there it is. Then you pull it tight up there. So here's something that I want to show you. Well, let me do a couple more real quick to get it down there. Okay, here, go over this and up through the crotch, up through the hole, over the crotch and through the hole, I should say. And then when you make one of these, what you started with, off to the left, always make sure that you make, like if you're finishing up or whatever, always make sure you finish up with the other side. Okay, so this over, through the crotch, and then through the hole, and then pull it tight. Okay, so let's say you're crocheting away like me, or crocheting, sheesh, you're macrameing away and your mind is off in 1,000 different places. That's why I craft, that's why I do this, because my head won't stay quiet. So this helps me, but I forget which way. Which way was I going? Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? Look at your sides here. I hope you can see that. I can't tell by looking at the camera how good that you can see this. But let me take this off here for a moment. This will be how you count. It will be 1, 2. So we've done 2 square knots. This you see right here, this is what you're counting with. Okay, so let's say I forgot which side I'm on. Which side did I do last? This is the side that needs to be done. So when I leave off, let me go ahead and do this one. So this is a half here. Now, do you see where my lump is? What do you call this? I don't know. I'm confused already. But anyways, you see where this is? That means that's where I left off. So I want my sailboat to go that way. Does that make sense? Let me do it again. Okay, so this is the second part of my square knot. So, all right, there we go. Now, so you see the string here, right? Underneath this. So that's not my last knot. Since this one is right here, ready to go, that's the side that I need to put my sailboat on, or my sail on. And then you put it through, you do it again, and then there it is on this side. So that tells me that I need to work on this side. I haven't really seen anybody else that had said that to me, or if I did, to me, to the videos, in the videos. If I did, I didn't know. Okay, so here we go with this is the double. Now this is a pretty, macrame is pretty. I don't care who you are. It's pretty. But I've always had trouble. Oh my God, my phone. I have always had trouble keeping things straight. I don't know why I have to get video chats. Okay. Crisis averted. You never, your kids really never grow up and leave you. They're always there. I have a sick child. She's having trouble coughing up phlegm. She's got asthma, plus she got sick, and now it's all stuck and just rattles around in there. And I try to help her long distance, of course, but I try, you know, to give her solutions, help her out. Okay, so here, this is the double, which is pretty. I love it. And you can, here's something. If you get the twine, you can dye the twine. So wouldn't that look cool if you had like a black one in it, or like a dark green or a dark blue? Wouldn't that look really pretty to have one in there being, you know, being weaved around? That would be totally awesome. And that would be one way to keep track of your the two outer ones, which are going to end up being shorter. You could take a different color, not two different colors, but two pieces of twine colored, and make those twice as long as the two that are not colored. And that way you would always know which ones are going to be shorter. Plus, you're going to design that into your macrame, into your plant hanger. I think that would be awesome. I wish I'd done that. Anyway, here we go. This is going to be half of what we did here. So it's called, I've seen it called the twist, but I think it's just a half double. Or, you know, whatever, a single. But what it's going to do is it's going to twist. Okay, so make your sailboat, whichever way you want to make it, whichever way is comfortable for you. Take your outside one, go over and up through the crotch. Pull her tight. Yeah, keep everything else out of the way. Pull it tight. And then do it again. And again. And again. You're going to stay on the same side. So your sailboat, if you started off with your sailboat pointing to the left, you're going to keep doing it with the sailboat pointed to the left. So it's going to begin to twist, and which looks really cool. And that's what I'm doing up here with my plant hanger, is making it. I always lose it sometimes here. Once you, in practice, this is practice, a good practice for me as well, even though I'm already actively using it. It's still good practice. How can it not be? So hopefully at some point, I just get super fast at it. But I do notice for me, since I have severe arthritis, fortunately the hands aren't as bad as they could be. And I say fortunately, there's no fortunate about arthritis whatsoever. I have no discs left in my neck now that aren't caged. My back is so bad right now, I have to pause it. I have to sit down for a while. I don't have any feeling in my thighs. They're not counting it as an emergency. The insurance company doesn't want to pay for an MRI. But anyway, that's besides it, I guess. Just have to sit down, stand up, sit down, stand up. But fortunately, it's not affected my hands. I had carpal tunnel surgery on my right hand, but not my left. They say I have carpal tunnel on my left, but I don't notice it like I do, like I did with the right. But once I had the surgery with the right, oh my goodness, it was the best surgery I ever had. It stopped it immediately. All the numbness and the tingling and the pain, everything just stopped. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so we're just going, it's twisting. You can see it twisting now. And then after I, do a few of these, the way that you count these is by these right here. So at some point, you're going to want this string to be the same as this one. So you count your stitches. And I want to tell you, you're supposed to count your stitches. But I measure mine. I just measure it. Sometimes I just go by eyeball. Because even if, let's say I have one more stitch on one than I do on the other. If it matches up perfectly with the other one, then I put another one in, it's going to make it look too long on one side. So if you don't pull your stitches tight, you're not going to have any kind of consistency. So make sure, if you want them loose, they're all loose. If you want them tight, they're all tight. Just make sure that you have the same, you're doing it the same way. So you see this is twisted around. I was working this way and it twists around. It doesn't matter. You just pick it up, you keep going. Don't think, oh, it twisted around and I need to do it on the other side. That's not how it works. You just keep going the same side. It'll twist around several times. Okay, so now I'm noticing that my strings are getting shorter. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a bead. Now, these two have stayed the same length because all they're doing is these two are just piggybacking on it. So I'm going to take these, put them together, put my bead on. You gotta have two. It's gotta be on the two. Put my bead on. Pull this up there, and then since it's not really made to be that way, when I get done, I'm just going to immediately start. Okay, so these are my two outer ones now. And I should have ended it on a better twist, but actually, you know what? Let's do it on this one. Okay, so I want to switch up now. So I want my strings to stay all the same length. We're going to do the same thing I just did there. And put this through. Get them through there. And then we're going to take these two, put them onto the outside, and then just start doing your knots again. So, when you pull up here, it's not going anywhere. Don't have to worry about it. So, after I get done with this, I'm going to put a tiny dab of hot glue. Not this, because this is just a practice piece. I don't want to waste the bead. But I'm going to put a little piece of glue, a little dot of glue on each side to keep that on each side of that, so you can't tell that I switched. If you keep it tight there, you can't tell that I switched up. So then my strings all stay the same. I'm not just using up. So if you see, and then remember, that's really basically all I've got. Just remember, on the double, you're going from one side to the next, over, you cross, over and up, into the crotch, out the hole, around the corner, whatever. So here, now, I know since it ended here that completed my double knot. So you see the knot that I'm counting right here. So, sailboat to the left, over into the crotch, through the hole, up, and then to complete this stitch we go the other direction, same thing. So the other knot that I know, I don't have the right stuff to make that. So here are your two basic knots, and then later, like I said, after I would get done, put a dot of hot glue just to hold that twine on each side of that, and you can't tell what I did, that I switched them up. So my suggestion is practice, practice, practice. I hope that you like my video. I hope you hit like and subscribe. YouTube says I can't make money until I get 100 subscribers, and I have like 7. So I also have to have so many liked videos, and I have none. I mean, we're at minimal, 10 or less probably. No, actually I'm wrong. My aluminum sunflower video got a lot of likes. So, a lot. And I say a lot, it's like 50. And I see people, other YouTubers. The problem being that before you're monetized with YouTube, they don't promote you. So if you type in, beginning macrame, and even though I have the tags on that, my video might not come up because I'm not one of their money makers. I've only got 7 subscribers. So it's kind of like a vicious cycle. But if you do watch this and you do like it, please share. Please consider sharing and subscribing. I would really, really appreciate it. So, yeah, thank you. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions. This is pretty basic, and practice, practice, practice.